We have CeeDee Lamb news. We have Dalvin Cook news. We have Denver Broncos wide receiver news. We have a lot, but most importantly, we have the best fantasy football draft on the planet. We're going to go ahead. We are going to fire up a draft in the Flock League on Underdog Fantasy. Let me just make sure we can get in this real quick. We are in here. Let's freaking go. This is a tournament that drops every Monday and every Thursday on Underdog Fantasy. Sadly, they are giving the king of the flock the worst pick in the draft. They're giving us pick 10. But just in case you haven't seen the flock tournament before, this is a $10 buy-in, 4,800 person tournament. 10,000 for first, 5,000 for second, 4,000 for third, 3,500 for fourth, all the way down the line. Now, let me explain this tournament setup. Just 1 second. So 1 out of 12 teams in the league that you draft with are going to advance past the regular season. So the highest scoring team through the first 14 weeks will make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament here in this 12-team league. Then you will have an opponent in week 15, mano-a-mano, just you versus him. The winner of that matchup advances to week 16. And then same thing, mano-a-mano, you versus him. Then you advance to round 17. And then in week 17, there's a 100-person final. So, super excited. We're going to go ahead. We're going to talk about a lot here. And yes, this jacket actually did get dry cleaned before the flock draft week, which is pretty exciting. Now we don't have to dry clean it again for another few years. But anyway, CeeDee Lamb goes pick 2 here. So it looks like Lamb is right where he was previously. So I talked about moving CeeDee Lamb behind Tyreek Hill based off CeeDee Lamb missing so much of training camp, where he pretty much has 2 weeks to get ready for the season at this point. If you are looking at him signing that contract extension, does that change really anything here? No, it does not. The season starts in about 2 weeks. Lamb really has not been there. So I think I am going to prefer Tyreek over him. Now, they tease us in this draft. They freaking take A.J. Brown at pick 7, teasing us thinking that we could potentially get Justin Jefferson or Amon-Ra St. Brown at pick 10. Sadly, it does not happen. So instead, we will take Garrett Wilson here. Garrett Wilson. Then at 12, you have running back with Jahmyr Gibbs, Jonathan Taylor, Saquon Barkley goes. So we will take a rookie wide receiver here in Marvin Harrison Jr. and hopefully find some running backs that we like on the way back around. Now we need to talk about Dalvin Cook as well. Of course, that's not the most important thing in the world, or at least not in my mind. We'll talk about why in a second. But I do want to remind everybody here watching this, if you wanted to get into a draft with me on the live stream, we are drafting on Underdog Fantasy. This is the perfect place to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year because there's no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I draft hundreds of teams every year. It's how I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. And if you sign up to Underdog Fantasy with code FLOCK with the link in the description, comment section, live chat, you will get my 2024 fantasy football rankings, my 2024 fantasy football draft guide, 2024 ADP consensus cheat sheet, plus a Christian McCaffrey special pick'em more than less than half a total yard for week 1, plus a Travis Kelce special pick'em more than less than half a total yard for week 1. On top of that, you do need to be in one of these states if you wanted to draft on Underdog, though. You can see the map here on the screen. But Jessica asking if you can do free drafts on Underdog. No, the cheapest draft that Underdog has is a $3 draft, which I would definitely recommend you stick to the $3, the $5 drafts if you are new to Underdog Fantasy and get some practice in there. But let me go ahead and yes, Cash Clark, I remember you yesterday asking if we were going to remember you today. Somehow I remembered that. Last night we had a ridiculous live stream where we streamed for I want to say almost 5 hours. But let me look at the other news that we have for today. So Dalvin Cook is going to be visiting with the Dallas Cowboys. Is this meaningful? Probably not in terms of if you should be drafting Dalvin Cook. We've seen Cook. He is washed. Let's go ahead. Let's pull this up from this past season. Dalvin Cook goes over to the Jets. He does absolutely nothing. He gets signed in Baltimore, does absolutely nothing. You go back to 2022. Dalvin Cook had a career low of 4.4 yards per carry. He had a career low in his receptions per game. And then you had the fall off the planet this past year. So I personally think Dalvin Cook is straight up washed. I don't think Dalvin Cook is going to be viable in fantasy. Now, hypothetically, if you were to sign and he were to end up going over to the Dallas Cowboys, I do think that you could potentially, see it negatively impacting Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott, just because I don't think they're any good in the first place either. We're going to go ahead. We are going to take Pittman. This will be a very rare draft where we start 4 wide receivers in a row here with Garrett Wilson, Harrison, Diggs, and Michael Pittman Jr. And we'll see what makes it back around to us. But typically on Underdog, I really like our teams when we're able to have this start. But yes, I think the main concern is just Zeke's probably washed. Dowdle's probably not any good. So if you add Dalvin to the backfield, then maybe it just hurts everybody there. Now, in other news, we did get a report saying that Juju Smith-Schuster was going to be signing with the Kansas City Chiefs. If Juju will be a Kansas City Chief this year, I don't think this has any impact on really anybody in this offense. Outside of, it's worth bringing up that Rashee Rice is still a suspension risk, and maybe this is some insurance if the Chiefs are thinking that Rice could face a suspension this year. Because Juju is pretty much a poor man's Rashee Rice at this point of his NFL career. So I'd be a little bit worrisome about Rice at his current price. Now, Nick Chubb, expected to be left on the PUP to start the season. Nick Chubb will miss 4 games. Not really a surprise to many people. If you're drafting Nick Chubb, you're really only doing so in a league that has an IR slot, and you're only expecting production in the second half of the year. In underdog drafts where you have just like crazy tournaments, like $25 buy-in, $1.5 million for first and best ball mania, I'm fine taking Nick Chubb because ultimately you will have the ceiling for weeks 15, 16, 17, which is what we're wanting to chase there. Okay. Now, our next piece of news that we have, there's just so much. Jaylen Warren is going to be playing week 1. So Najee Harris not as exciting as initially indicated. Malik Willis gets traded to the Titans for a 7th round pick. Doesn't really matter. But Tim Patrick does end up getting cut here. So if Tim Patrick ends up getting cut, which it looks like it's happening, then all of a sudden, specifically in underdog drafts, Marvin Mims, Troy Franklin are potentially exciting options. In your regular redraft league, does it have any impact? Not at all. Okay. So let's move this over. So Terry McLaurin off the board here. Anthony Richardson for sure in play for us, right? But the thing is, if we want a Rich, we're probably not going to take him until round 6 to pair up with Pittman. If you look at the other teams in this league, the teams after us have Patrick Mahomes and Josh Allen. So I think we are going to make a little bit of a weird pick here. I think we're going to go Calvin Ridley for our 5th receiver. Really push the 0 RB build. I promise you on Underdog, we're going to find running backs that we like a little later on. We're going to assume that the teams after us are going to be forced to go with the wide receiver. This team at pick 12 has a total of 0 receivers through the first 4 rounds, which if you look at the historical data, you never win on Underdog if that is your strategy. Okay. Let's move this over. And yes, Josh Reynolds is also going to get a bump here as well. Now, Anthony Richardson off the board at pick 63, 2 years truly. For the tiniest little second, I saw the profile pic and thought that was actually Matt and Shane's secret podcast, which on the offhand chance that someone associated with the podcast is watching this, for the love of God, hit me up. I'm in Austin. Oh, OG fan. Come on. Now, Mean Bean, welcome to being a member of the flock. Long-time member of the flock there. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. And yeah, we're going to take A-Rich to pair up with Michael Pittman Jr., right? I mean, this is a tournament where we really need these early round picks to hit for us. If Michael Pittman Jr. hits, that means Anthony Richardson's probably pretty decent. Anthony Richardson has a ton of rushing upside as well. Looked very bad in the preseason, but we're going to be fine taking him and expecting that we get some running backs making it back around to us. And yes, I know that I would not recommend going with this strategy in your regular redraft league for sure. Just because in your regular redraft league, I would say that the running backs that are going to make it to you in round 7 and 8, they'll be disgusting options. You won't be excited about them. But specifically in these underdog drafts, I'm actually okay with the running backs that should make it to us at 82. Okay. And yes, hit that like button if you want another draft after this one. We could possibly run back another 4 or 5 hour stream like last night. Now, Jake Ferguson off the board at 72. Dak Prescott goes 71 here to the CeeDee Lamb team, which is very interesting. Okay. Nathan says 1,200 people are watching and only 66 likes. What are y'all doing? What are y'all doing? But let's move this over. Now, Joe Burrow goes 75. So, I mean, Burrow, this is what you're seeing now with a bunch of new people on Underdog. These quarterbacks are getting pushed up. Where, if you remember earlier this offseason, there were some teams I was able to draft on Underdog where we got Joe Burrow past pick 100. Roma Dunze makes it down to 77. Deontay Johnson makes it down to 78. You have some crazy wide receiver values at this point. Hollywood Brown goes. I'll smooth this over. Bryce says, is this a big dog? This is not a big dog. This is the Flock Tournament. We are doing a warm-up for a $500 draft in just 1 second. David Montgomery, CJ Stroud, both off the board. I know y'all are absolutely going to hate this, but we are going to take our last wide receiver here in Jackson Smith-Njigba. We're going to expect a running back makes it back around to us. And yes, we are not going to be able to take another wide receiver in this entire draft. Which, if you look back last year, the team that won Best Ball Mania for, I want to say, $3 million last year, they actually went with 6 receivers extremely early, and they did not take another one, and instead just went with a bunch of running backs, quarterbacks, and tight ends late. I don't necessarily think you should just chase the same exact strategy that won the $3 million last year, because if you're chasing the same exact strategy, it's probably not just going to repeat the same way that it did a year ago. But who knows? We will see. We will see. And we'll go ahead and we will take Aaron Jones at pick 87 as our running back 1. And we are going to start this draft off with Wilson, Harrison, Diggs, Pittman, Ridley, JSN at receiver, quarterback Anthony Richardson stacked up with Michael Pittman Jr., Aaron Jones at RB. Now, I am going to enter in the $500 draft right now. And, real quick, Underdog actually just dropped a $3 tournament for everybody as well, wanting to get into a lower buy-in Underdog tournament. So I just entered in the $500 big dog. There's 1 spot open in that draft room for anybody wanting to join with us, which do not join right now, please, because I would rather do more of this draft before we have to hop into the next one. And yes, the Mini Schnauzer is the $3 Underdog tournament that they just dropped. And all right. The $500 draft just filled, so we got a little bit of a warm-up in. I'm going to move this draft over to the other screen. I will let you know what we end up doing. I'll let you know if we're able to find some running back values later. Kind of expect that we should be able to. But let me move the $500 drafts over to the main screen for everybody to see here. Okay. And yet again, this is like the third $500 draft we've done on the live stream, We get a horrendous pick. Thank you for freaking nothing, Underdog. Oh my gosh. Why am I getting stuck with these garbage picks? This is a freaking doom. It's not a boom. This is a doom. Pick 11 doom. Get the dooms out in the chat. Michael says, where do you think Brandon Ayuk goes? Considering how much sticky Ricky I've drafted, I don't care where Ayuk goes. I would prefer him out of San Francisco, but he probably is a Niner this next year. Okay. Literally the third $500 draft we've done on stream. And every single instance, we are just at the very end of drafts. So CMC, CeeDee Lamb go off picks 1 and 2. And there's not a single person in this $500 underdog draft that does not have a badge. So this is going to be an extremely tough spot for us. We can hopefully we'll figure it out. Probably not, but hopefully. And the other draft, we're going to go ahead. We'll take Brian Robinson as our running back 2. Okay. G says 11 is a good pick this year. Trust me. My guy, I have drafted in my fair share of drafts. I've had pick 11. And let's just say I agree to disagree that pick 11 is a good pick. In the other draft, we go with Tajay Spears as our running back 3. Okay. Bijan goes, if I would have got Bijan at 11, I would have lost my mind. But nope, we get Puka Nacua as you would naturally expect. Puka was practicing today, which is decent. We have been guaranteed that he's going to go week 1. But we'll see. Faked in this draft with us at 5, ready to crush us. Happy to go against you. Happy to go against you. Now let's see what Cognition does, who's been crushing us in these drafts for years. Goes with Marvin Harrison Jr. at pick 12. They may or may not be on auto. We'll see what ends up happening. If they go with Gibbs, I think we had a draft last night where we picked at 11 and the team after us was on auto. And it did give us some very interesting changes in strategy just because we could get a sense of we knew what was going to happen between our picks for right or wrong. Okay. They go Gibbs. We are going to go with a unique pairing here. I have Jonathan Taylor ranked over Puka Nacua. But I think if you look at all the teams drafted in this tournament, Saquon Barkley Puka will be a less common pairing than Jonathan Taylor Puka. And Hernia asked, so in this $500 draft, are you just competing against the 11 other players? No, this is actually a tournament on Underdog Fantasy. This is called the Big Dog Tournament. This is a $500 buy-in. This is a $1 million prize pool with $200,000 for first place. If my computer wants to load, I'll show you all the details real quick. But $200,000 for first, $100,000 for seconds. And we actually won this tournament back in the day. We won this tournament 2 years ago, but back then it was only a $250 buy-in. So since it was only a $250 buy-in, first place was only $100,000. I mean, of course, I'm not going to complain about winning $100,000, but that was the setup. But yeah, here it's $500 buy-in, $200,000 for first, $100,000 for second, $80,000 for third. So essentially what's going to be like 2 of the top 12 teams in this league that we're drafting in right now from the regular season will advance to the fantasy football playoff tournament. Then you're going to be in little pods. So then in week 15, say there are going to be like 10 teams there that advanced. And then out of those 10 teams, it'll be like 2 or 3 teams then advance to the next week. And then same thing, you'll be in like an 8-week bracket and 2 out of the 8 teams will advance to the championship finals week. So it's just like another tournament on Underdog. Yeah, hopefully that makes sense. So how you want to be making the adjustment is obviously you want to have points here throughout the entire course of the year, but also You really want to try to have a really high ceiling in weeks 15, 16, 17 when you get to the fantasy football playoff stretch and you have massive dollars up for first. Okay. So Chris Olave off the board at pick 20. Let's go ahead and see. Jonathan Taylor fell to 19. Taylor goes after Achane in this draft, which I personally would not recommend. Nico Collins off the board at 21. In the other draft, we took Austin Eckler as our RB3. Just monopolizing the Washington backfield there. So Kupp off 22. I don't think I've drafted Cooper Kupp in round 2 all year now. Round 2 Cooper Kupp just, in my mind, is probably not the move. Of course, I'm an idiot. I could be wrong. But I personally am not a massive fan of that. Okay. Opposite asking if I've taken Malik Neighbors in round 2 at all. No, I think we've talked about that at length. I would not take Malik Neighbors unless he fell to the end of round 3, the beginning of round 4. I'm very much underweight on Malik Neighbors. Adams goes 26. I think Malik Neighbors, Devontae Adams, they're both very similar. They're going to get pretty much every target in their respective offenses. They're both in horrendous offenses, so it caps their overall ceiling. However, we've seen Devontae Adams be very good before. We just think Malik Neighbors is very good, which I do think he is very good. But, I think if they're in the similar situations, give me the guy that I know is a stud. Give me Devontae Adams in round 3 instead of Malik Neighbors in round 2. And keep in mind, early in the offseason, I was saying that Devontae Adams was being overdrafted. But, clearly he has fallen a considerable amount here. Kyron Williams off the board at pick 27. Really do like the Kyron Williams pick. Mike Evans, 28. DJ Moore, 29. It's going to be such interesting. I just don't know what we're going to want to do. This is what sucks because if you're at pick 11 and you're looking at Puka Nacua, Marvin Harrison, Jahmyr Gibbs in the first, those options are significantly worse than CMC, CeeDee Lamb, Tyreek Hill. A massive drop-off. Christian McCaffrey can score 100 more points than Puka Nacua can this year. And then looking at the 2-3 turn where you can get, say, Brandon Ayuk and Devontae Adams or Brandon Ayuk and Kyron Williams. Those options are significantly better than what you're going to be looking here at pick 35 and 38. So I really, really hate picking at the end. It just puts you in a very tough spot. Okay. Rashee Rice off at 32. I am not a fan of drafting Rice there. I'm happy to see him go. Means somebody that we like may end up falling to us. Tank Dell goes 33. So let's see what's going to happen here. 35. We know here at the 3-4 turn, we need to at least take one wide receiver. We'll take Derrick Henry. I'm not a massive Derrick Henry guy, but in terms of being able to get him here at the end of the 3rd, the beginning of the 4th, I think very few teams in this tournament are going to be able to do just that. So I'll take Derrick Henry here at 35, but because it's so difficult to find production later on at wide receiver in these underdog drafts, I think we need to at least be taking a receiver here. So we'll go ahead. We'll take Michael Pittman Jr. Everybody's off of Pittman at this point with how bad Anthony Richardson looked in the preseason. Seems like all these Colts are falling down in a big time way, but maybe I am wrong here. Maybe there is a different reason I'm not thinking about why Michael Pittman Jr. is falling like a rock at this point. Let's move this over. In the other draft, I took J.K. Dobbins as my RB5. We're going to go Luke Musgrave as my first tight end off the board. Okay. Yes, I get pick 11 again in the $500 one. I don't know what I've done. The 3 $500 drafts we've done on the live stream, just all garbage picks. Don't get me wrong. For as far as pick 11 goes, I actually do like what we get here. I would have way rather been at like pick 9 and had the ability to go Bijan Robinson there in the first. But it is what it is. Pacheco falls all the way down to 42. I believe Pacheco was the highest ranked player on the board when we took Pittman with an ADP of 33. So Pacheco falls a considerable amount here in this draft. Okay. Laporta goes 44. I have taken a ridiculous amount of Laporta in the 4th round this year. I think he outscores some of the wide receivers that are getting drafted ahead of him. I stand by that take, to be honest with you. I stand by that. Okay. And yes, we're going to get another flock community draft on Underdog after this. Of course, that's if this live stream's popping. That's if we have a bunch of likes on it. So if you want another draft, go down there, hit that like button. And of course, if you want to get in that flock tournament with us, I'm going to be drafting that right after this $500 team. That's only a $10 buy-in, but honestly, if it's your first Underdog draft, I would recommend just doing the $3 tournament that they have out right now. But of course, if you're not already on Underdog, it's not too late to join. This is the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year, because there's no time commitment at all during the season. It's how I draft 100 teams every year. It's how I won 150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago. If you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my rankings, draft guide, ADP cheat sheet, and you'll get a Christian McCaffrey special pick of more than less than half a total yard. Plus, you will get a Travis Kelce special pick of more than less than half a total yard for week 1 as well. You'll get both of those. Make sure you take advantage. You want to go outside? Here you go. All right, we are back, and this fan did not turn on. Brady asking if Underdog is in Canada. Underdog is in everywhere in Canada, but Ontario, because I think Ontario has DK and FanDuel. Okay, but I think to my limited knowledge of Canada, I think the vast majority of Canadians live in Ontario, or a lot of them. I don't say the majority, but okay. Okay. Calvin Ridley off the board at pick 55. So running back, we have Barkley, Derrick Henry. Wide receiver, we have Puka and Michael Pittman Jr. Okay. Judd says Team 4 is building a strong one. Team 4 is Chase, Nico, Mike Evans, Josh Allen. Oh, yeah. Team 4 is just freaking beautiful. And yeah, as I've mentioned before, Team 4, that's CSU Ram. He's a high-stakes crusher. He knows what he is doing. I definitely recommend following that. Okay. James Cook goes. We're going to have Anthony Richardson make it back around to us almost regardless if we wanted him. So I think we're going to take Chris Godwin here at pick 59 because we know we need at least one wide receiver here on the turn. I'd be very, very surprised if the team after us decided to go with Anthony Richardson. They're not on auto draft. We saw that with the last picks that they made, with them deciding to go through and take the combo of Lamar and Flowers. They go Rachaad White, Kenneth Walker. So we will take Anthony Richardson to get the Michael Pittman Jr. stack. A-Rich looked garbage in the preseason. Everybody's panicking. These Colts are falling. I think Anthony Richardson has rushing upside. I don't know if he's going to be any good from a real life perspective, but I'll take him in round 6 on a team that we have Michael Pittman Jr. in round 4. Okay. Let's move this over. Cash Clark says he sounds depressed when taking Godwin. I'm not excited to take Godwin. I just think like Godwin is the perfect example of someone in your regular redraft league that's like, okay, well, what's the point in taking mid to low end wide receiver 2? But on Underdog, it's like, okay, I kind of need that production. I kind of just need a wide receiver that I'm able to throw in here. Mixon making it all the way down to 68. I would be very excited to take Mixon at that price point. Yes, I understand super chats are off. If you're interested in a team review, you can get one on flockfantasy.com. Go over to flockfantasy.com and you can find a team review there. Okay. Deontay Johnson off 71. Brian Thomas goes 70. Tyrone says, does Flock Fantasy Team review ESPN leagues, though? Let's check this together. I met with the developers today. We are supposed to have the ESPN team review out live tonight. So let's see if they put it out yet. It's not out tonight. Should be out tomorrow morning. Hopefully it's out tonight. It looks like it is not out yet. If you want your team review, you can still go and just hit the little $ in the top right. And you can just check the box, my team's not on Sleeper. And you could submit a screenshot of your roster and manually fill out the league settings for me. So, yeah. By the time you get to this, if the ESPN side isn't built out just yet, all you got to do is submit me a screenshot, and I'll be happy to check it out for you. Okay. Now, we have some more running backs off the board. I mean, we just have a very well-balanced team here. There's not much to discuss. This draft room definitely hasn't really gone off the rails in any crazy ways. I mean, that team at 3 goes ahead, and they go with the bully tight end strategy, pairing up Mark Andrews with Evan Ingram. Looks like they're going to go for a Lawrence full-blown Jaguars onslaught later on, where they have ETN, Brian Thomas, as well as Evan Ingram. They're just all in Jags and all in Rams. Okay. Let's move this. Ladd McConkey goes 68. The teams around us may end up hating us. We'll see. CJ Stroud off at 79. Kyler Murray goes 80. I was considering taking an unstacked Kyler. I was going to see how bad it would have been, how much pain we would have caused. But we have to remember the team after us only has 2 wide receivers. They only have Marvin Harrison Jr. and Zay Flowers. So I was going to take Jordan Addison if Addison made it to me at 83. Now that Addison's gone, instead, I think we will take Aaron Jones here, and we'll just have the all old man running back room. The team after us goes Ramondre Stevenson, which is really surprising. I assumed with only 2 receivers, we are not super likely to see them take their 4th RB. But they go Jake Ferguson as well. Super interesting. I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take DeAndre Hopkins. If y'all remember where DeAndre Hopkins was going earlier this offseason in underdog drafts, he was going in round 6. The injury bumped him down to being around an 8 pick, but we now have confirmation that DeAndre Hopkins looks like he's going to be good to go week 1. So if he's going to be good to go week 1, and the injury concerns are now baked into his price, it probably makes sense to go ahead and grab him here at 86. We'll see. Okay. Raheem Mostert off the board at 88. Jordan Love goes to the Kyler Murray team. The Kyler team, that is the team that took Trey McBride. That was going to be my next thing. Because that was an awkward spot for them to take McBride with. So I was expecting that maybe they didn't have that stack, but no, they do. Okay. DeAndre Swift off the board at pick 91. Cash Clark asking how much water we drink a day. Probably not enough. Today was the first day that I had to do the bike today instead of running, which was pretty sad, but we're getting to the point of the year where I'm just very, very busy. So the meetings I had with the devs and another little agency I had to do on the bike, was going to run after, I didn't have the time to run. So usually when I'm on the little stationary bike, I drink more water than when I'm running. So when I'm running, I'll just like get the water fountains on the trail. And the ESPN video, what I'm most likely going to do is actually draft a real ESPN team with somebody on a live stream tomorrow night. Keep you posted if that ends up happening, but I think that's what we'll probably do. Okay. Justin says, did the home league last night and got Chase at the 10 spot. I actually, in the flock league, ended up getting Jamar Chase at pick 7, which I was really excited about, but getting Chase at pick 10 obviously is that much better. David Njoku off the board at 96. Honestly, with our decision to take DeAndre Hopkins, I do think that we put ourselves in a really good spot to just have the flexibility later in this draft to almost do whatever we want. If we would have gone running back there, my running back probably would have been DeAndre Swift. And if we would have taken DeAndre Swift, I think we would have really been locked into a limited number of options and what we could have done at 107. Kadarius Toney flexing on us, saying got Lamb at pick 6 in my home league last night. Well, that is perfect timing. Literally perfect timing. Okay. It's 450 likes on the stream. Thank you so much for everybody going down there hitting that like button. And of course, if we hit 600 likes on this stream, we are going to get another draft going after this. The next draft will probably be a Flock Community League, which should just be a $10 buy-in. Or maybe we'll do probably a Flock Community League and then maybe pivot also and get in a $3 draft in. But see, this is why we go DeAndre Hopkins in the last round, because now that we're going to be on the clock here at pick 107, we go ahead and we look at some of these names that are going to be available. And they're pretty gross at wide receiver with Shakir, Shaheed, and Lockett. I'm not a big Shakir guy at this price. I almost just want to go ahead and take Zach Moss and take the running back that could potentially be the starting RB in a very good offense this year. So that's exactly what we're going to do. The team that's after us kind of is going to be forced here to probably go wide receiver. They take Shakir as their third option to pair it with Harrison and Flowers. And they go Dallas Goedert 109. Very interesting to see that pick. So looks like Spears, his role in the last preseason game was a little bit concerning. Brian Robinson versus Singletary. I think we probably just end up going with Brian Robinson. And then when we take Robinson as our 5th running back, I think we're probably done drafting RBs. Let's go ahead. Let's show this squad off. Right now, wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr., Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. Running back, we have Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson. And quarterback, we have Anthony Richardson stacked up with Michael Pittman Jr. Let's go. And yes, we may be grinding out a 6-hour stream tonight. We may be. Bryce says, are the new rankings out yet? So yes, a couple different things. One, the new rankings are, we update the rankings pretty much every single day on flockfantasy.com. And two, if you had used code FLOCK on Underdog, check your email for emails last night coming from Mason Dodd at flockfantasy.com and maybe in your spam, but I sent an updated email to everybody that used code FLOCK and made a $10 deposit on Underdog in 2024. You should see that email in your inbox from last night. Maybe it's in the spam. Let's move this over. HBT says, Mason, are there trades in the Flock Home League? Yes, there are trades. And there was actually a trade that went down the Flock League today. It was between two of the developers on flockfantasy.com. Spoiler alert, it got vetoed. The trade was Marvin Harrison and Jahmyr Gibbs for Devin Singletary and Christian Watson. This is what I was saying before the draft even happened, that we had to be on the lookout for the developers trying to collude. That's clearly what that is. So that trade got vetoed immediately. Corey, who's handling commish duties, didn't even give anybody the option. It just got canceled right away. Yes, collusion in the Flock League already. And Thomas cut it out of the video, but even in Knockout, the developers had started colluding. Two of the developers were going back-to-back in Knockout, and the guy behind the first dev was just intentionally missing a shot and just throwing it against the backboard until the other developer made his, and then he would shoot his layup real quick. So, which we're not going to enforce collusion too much during Knockout, but yeah. Nolan says team devs. Yeah, developers doom. Devs doom. Whereas so, we are on lookout for them. Okay. Now, Jared Goff off the board at 125. And obviously, let me just make sure everybody knows this. They were joking when they made that trade. They knew it was going to get vetoed. They didn't argue against it. It was a joke, but still, it's pretty funny to see it go down. Okay. Benny says, Team Mason choosing McLaurin over Kenneth Walker. Pretty good timing with the Dotson trade. And yeah, of course, if you all have not seen the Flock League vlog yet, just look up the Flock League on YouTube. It should show up. But RIP Mason, here, this is a spot that we probably can't go running back, already having 5. Thank God we took DeAndre Hopkins where we did. Because this is about to get ugly. Ugly, ugly, ugly. Darnell Mooney off. Are you? God dang it. We'll go ahead. We'll take Pat Frymuth 131. I was really hoping to get Mike Williams. Mike Williams was our target here. Darnell Mooney was our backup. Schultz goes 132. Running backs are by far and away the best values here, but we just simply can't take a running back. We've already taken too many. We don't. I can't take Michael Wilson. I can't take Josh Downs over Justin Herbert. We'll go ahead. We'll take Justin Herbert as our QB2. And we will set our sights down on the big Q coming up. Big Q coming up. Legends joining the flock. Happy to have you. Happy to have you. Okay. Now, let's show this team off here. It is a tough spot. Wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr., Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins. Running back, we have Saquon Barkley, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson. Quarterback, we have A. Rich and Justin Herbert. And tight end, we have Pat Frymuth. So we'll see. TT Warriors says John Mechie will be a Steeler tomorrow. Bank on it. I think it would make a ton of sense for Mechie to get traded to Pittsburgh. Now, selfishly, because I have taken a ridiculous Roman Wilson in round 18 at this point. Like, that's the only guy I've drafted in round 18 for quite some time here. I'm really hoping that he is just the guy. Really hoping that he is the man. And do not send Mechie to the Panthers. Your boy may have taken a lot of Xavier Legette over the past few weeks. So, no thank you on that one. No thank you on that one. How about let's just leave John Mechie where he's at? Let's just leave John Mechie in Houston. Now, after we take Herbert, you have a run on running backs. You have Gus Edwards, Charbonnet, Trey Benson, Ty Chandler, Tyler Algier, all off the board. My favorite player in that range is Trey Benson. I think Benson at that price point makes a ton of sense, especially if you're trying to optimize for upside in weeks 15, 16, 17. But for me personally, when I'm selfish, I'm hoping as many of these running backs go as freaking possible so we can get some wide receiver production, making it back to us at 155. As it stands right now, wide receiver is a tough position to come by for us. I'd have really liked it if we could have gotten Mike Williams. Didn't happen. It is what it is. We'll figure it out. Okay. Hawkinson goes 144. Deshaun 145. Let's move this over. Young Krilo says this team would have been good 4 years ago. This team would have been nuts 4 years ago. Tell me that Barkley, Henry, Aaron Jones. Ooh. And DeAndre Hopkins. Nobody would have stopped this team in 2020. Okay. Ami says, Flock, are you concerned about Anthony Richardson's bad preseason game? I think pretty much everybody is concerned about his bad preseason game. I think at this point it's possibly priced in. And getting him in round 6 to stack with Pittman in round 4, I think the rushing upside is there. And I do want to reiterate, I have no idea if Richardson's going to be good from a real life perspective. But if he's going to run the ball a ton, I think he'll be decent from a fantasy perspective. Okay. Cole Kmet off the board to pick 150. Fine seeing that. If we are looking at quarterbacks here, since it is a smaller field contest, I would be fine going with the third QB. We have to look at the team after us. The team after us only has 3 receivers, so the assumption is that they're probably looking to go with the receiver here. Kirk Cousins, 153. Demario Douglas, thank God we are going to get Xavier Legette, wide receiver 5. I didn't like Legette as a prospect. I don't like the Panthers offense, but he's a round 1 NFL draft pick that we're getting at like wide receiver 70 on a relatively empty depth chart. So I am down. I'm down. And then we will take Matthew Stafford as our third quarterback here to pair up with a Mr. Puka Nacua. I want to reiterate, if you're drafting in Best Ball Mania, if you're drafting the puppy, if you're drafting in a super large field contest, probably not ideal to take the third quarterback here, specifically in the smaller field contest, such as the big dog. I think we can potentially get away with it. Now, wide receiver, we have Puka Nacua, Michael Pittman Jr., Chris Godwin, DeAndre Hopkins, Xavier Legette. Running back, we have Barkley, Derrick Henry, Aaron Jones, Zach Moss, Brian Robinson. Quarterback, we have A-Rich stacked with Pittman. We have Herbert with Big Q on the way very soon. We have Stafford stacked with Puka. And then at tight end, we have Frymuth. Okay. Let's move this down. Khalil Herbert off the board to pick 160. Bucky Irving goes 161. Perfect. Get these running backs off the board for us. And yes, 20 more likes, and we will get another draft going after this one. Yes, and possibly we'll be getting Big Q as well. Possibly. The Broncos secondary receivers like Marvin Mims and Troy Franklin are possibly in play for us, considering the injury. I'm sorry, not the injury. Considering that you have Tim Patrick getting cut. So that will open up some other options at wide receiver late in this draft. Okay. Now, Tyler Conklin off the board at 167. And can I give a shout out to just everybody who hangs out with us in this draft every single night? Like Teresa is out in this draft with us every single night. And last night we streamed for 4 hours straight. Tonight we'll probably be streaming for 4 or 5 hours. So shout out Teresa, of course. Okay, so Jordan Mason off the board, 171. Looks like Mason is the clear RB2 behind Christian McCaffrey. Should be in an elite offense, so I've definitely been mixing in some Jordan Mason as of late. Okay. And yes, Kadarius Toney out here with us all the time as well. A-Rod, obviously I don't need to go through and shout outs every single person, but thank you so much. Y'all know who you are. If you are out here every night, much love. And yes, I'm sorry for taking away the super chat button. I promise y'all it's going to be a much better experience on flockfantasy.com than the super chats would have been. And also for the drafts, like I discussed, I mean, I think it's just much better for me to focus in on the draft rather than this time of year. If I had super chats on, the only thing I'd be doing is answering super chat questions and the draft would be in the background. And I don't necessarily think that's what people want the most. But we are only taking wide receiver, tight end through the rest of this draft here. If we're looking at some wide receivers that we can take, obviously we have our sights set on somebody in round 16. We don't need to go with them here, but okay. Ty says here since you had the Odell intro. Much love, much love. Okay. Demarcus Robinson does give us the double stack. We'll take Demarcus Robinson. I think I don't know why I did it. I think he's a bum. I don't think he has any upside. Yes, we need a receiver. Yes, we have Matthew Stafford, but still, like, I'd way rather have Quentin Johnson than freaking Demarcus Robinson. And Big Q goes immediately after, so that is a doom for us. Demarcus Robinson is a doom. No freaking reason to take the guy. Yeah, I'd rather a Big Q. On the way back around, Kate Otten is going to be by far and away my favorite tight end in this range, though. Just with the guaranteed targets that he'll have in this offense. He's been horribly inefficient over the past few years, but it is what it is. But let me go ahead, show off this team for everybody. And we are going to get into another draft right now. We're going to take one more wide receiver and one more tight end to finish this draft off. But let's see if I can figure out how to easily maneuver this around. Perfect. Here we are. Okay, let's go ahead. Let's get into another draft. The mini Schnauzer, it's a, what timer is it? I'm not going to get in this one. I'm getting in the flock one. This is a 20-second timer. Perfect. Okay, so we can do a bunch of these tonight. We're going to get in another flock community tournaments. This is a $10 buy-in, about $50,000 prize pool, a little bit less, but $10,000 for first place. And yeah, Underdog's hosting flock community tournaments every Monday and Thursday until the season starts. So let's go. Kadarius Toney in there with Flock's Kryptonite. I saw Flock's Kryptonite on Twitter earlier today. Forgot exactly what he said, but I definitely liked it. I definitely hit the like button for him. But let me know if you're in this draft with us. Jared made it in. Let's see if we can see Jared's name. I don't know what your name is in this draft, my friend. Let me know. Victor in this draft with us at pick 2. Bill in this draft with us, pick 1. Love to see it. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Angelo in this draft with us at pick 7. DWB in this draft with us at pick 12. Jared at pick 11. Thank you so much for everybody getting in. Let's freaking go. Okay, Christian Watson off the board at pick 1. Tyreek Hill goes at 3. We are on the clock. We'll just make the... I'm going to go ahead. I'm going to take Justin Jefferson. Please listen to me and please listen. Well, I would never take Justin Jefferson over Breece Hall in a regular fantasy football draft. In a regular fantasy football draft, you are going to have very strong wide receiver options making it to you later on. Here specifically in this underdog draft, that may not be the case. You may not have solid options making it to you later. At wide receiver and running backs, I'm very comfortable in the later rounds. So I like my draft a little more when we go wide receiver in round 1. So we will take Justin Jefferson over Breece Hall. And you have to start 3 receivers in this league, yada, yada, yada. They're just harder to get. So please, in your regular fantasy football draft, just go ahead and take Breece. Okay, so in that other draft, I think we may go Troy Franklin. We're going to go Troy Franklin now that you have the news with Tim Patrick. I think we're going to go Gesicki as well. All right. Now back to this one. Nico Collins off the board at 14 to pair with Harrison. I really like the team at pick 12 going Gibbs and Puka. Okay. Cash Clark says, be right back. Going to Chick-fil-A. What should I get? My go-to at Chick-fil-A, if you're just trying to pig out and just have a great old time, spicy Chick-fil-A sandwich, pepper jack cheese with a, oh my gosh, I have to tell y'all. Can I admit something here? I think it's past the statute of limitations. I don't think I ever told y'all my Chick-fil-A story. Let me know if I've told y'all the Chick-fil-A little racket I was running. Maybe we don't have to repeat it. We're going to go ahead. We will take Saquon Barkley. The question that I need to ask y'all is, would you rather have Justin Jefferson and Saquon Barkley, or would you rather have Breece Hall and Chris Olave? Like, that's really what you're looking at here with that decision to take Jefferson at 6. That's what you're having. John says, I prefer Chili's. There's a famous Chili's on 45th Street in Austin. It's like prime real estate, and it's a freaking Chili's. I drive by it often. I've never had it, though. Okay. So let me go. Let's see. Black and gold would rather have Breece and Saquon. I'm sorry, Breece and Olave. Michael says Jefferson and Barkley. Brody says Jefferson and Barkley. And yeah, that's the thing. It just, like, in your regular redraft league, you're never going to get Barkley falling this far. But here you can. The best restaurant in Austin. So I'm a happy hour guy in terms of I just love going and getting food deals during happy hour. Also, I stream late, so my girlfriend and I eat dinner early anyway. One of the best happy hours in Austin is ALC Steakhouse. You can go and get like 10 wings for like $8, and they're phenomenal. You can get great sandwiches, immaculate. Another really good place is Loro. Great happy hour there. And then if you're willing to spend a little bit of money, Black's Barbecue is phenomenal. We'll go ahead. We will take DK Metcalf here, pick 30, and we'll just keep a very well-balanced roster through the first 3 rounds, giving us the ability to go with running backs or elite tight ends that we like a little bit. John says Dean's Steakhouse is the best steak in Austin. I think you told me that earlier, but I still have not been. Dean's Steakhouse. Maybe the girlfriend and I will go here to celebrate NFL kickoff. It has a ridiculous amount of reviews and very good reviews as well. Yeah, here's where I will go. Remind me when we get closer to kickoff, my friend, and I will try to. Actually, I can just see if I can reserve a table for that. Thursday right now. Thursday, September 5th, 7:30. Is there going to be a TV I can watch the game at? Will there be a TV I can watch the game at? But yeah, Via 313 is also very good if y'all have not had Via 313. Probably the best pizza in Austin. I think it's a chain, though. But Josh Allen goes off the board at 36. Sam Laporte goes 37. I really like that team at 12. I mean, those two picks are guys that I go with quite often in these drafts. Okay. Justin, I don't do any IDP drafts. I barely am smart enough in terms of being able to handle regular fantasy football drafts. If I were to go through and start drafting individual defensive players, I would just get straight up crushed. Now, Rashee Rice off the board at pick 39. Mahomes goes 40. So we actually should get a decent value here falling to us. George Pickens, 41. Super interesting. We're going to go ahead. We will take Tank Dell at 43. Dell should be a very unique pick here. And this will give us the option to go ahead and potentially take CJ Stroud at 78. Really like this setup. And let's see. Squirrel says, is there a link to the draft when you won Best Ball Mania 2 years ago, your draft for it? One, I have never won Best Ball Mania. My highest finish in Best Ball Mania was 16th place. That was good for $10,000. If it was this year, because the payout structure is different, it would have been good for $100,000. I've won the big dog for $100K. I've won the bulldog for $20K. Got 16th place in Best Ball Mania for $10K, and then a bunch of miscellaneous like $3K, $4K finishes. But yeah, you can go. I don't have a link for it off the top of my head. You can scroll back on the channel though, and you can see something like title, like reviewing my draft at 100,000. I'm sure I have it titled something obnoxious like that, where I go through and I revisit the live stream that I drafted that team on. Okay. Let's move this over. Andrews goes to the team that takes Lamar at 47. Love that team at 2 with Lamar Andrews stack. Jacobs 51. Great pick. Let's move this down. Samwise on the clock. Has gotten in a bunch of drafts with us before. Goes James Cook at 52. Kincaid off. I have no idea what to do here. Kirk's back at practice. I really didn't draft him at all in round 4. Might as well balance out some exposures here because I could be wrong. It's a decent offense. We need to have some more quarterback options later on as well. Okay. Landolf says, Mason, will you be doing team reviews on the stream from the flockfantasy.com website? Yes, during the season, all the live streams will be like team reviews, start set questions, everything like that through flockfantasy.com. Right now, what I'm doing, if you have a team review through flockfantasy.com, is I'm just doing a personalized podcast and sending it to you. So instead, we can stream these drafts on Underdog. But sadly, these draft streams are probably, we only have like 9 days left of them, which is crazy to even think about. Sadly. Okay. But of course, if you wanted to get into one of those drafts with us over the next 9 days, we are doing this every single night on the live stream. These are Underdog best ball drafts, so there's no time commitment at all during the season. That's why it's the best place to get into an extra fantasy football draft this year. And if you use code FLOCK when you sign up to Underdog Fantasy, you are going to get my 2024 rankings, 2024 draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet as well. And you will get a Christian McCaffrey special pick of more than less than half a total yard for week 1. You'll get a Travis Kelce special pick of more than less than half a total yard for week 1. And you will get a 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You just need to be you need to be in one of these states if you want to draft on Underdog. You can see the map here. Okay. Josh says, man, you've done a $500 buy-in every night. I think this is the third stream where we've had a $500 buy-in. And in every instance, we've gotten picks 9, 10, 11. So, sucks to be us, but it is what it is. So, let's see if Kyle Pitts falls to us. Kyle Pitts does not. We will take Godwin, and the hope is we are going to get CJ Stroud on the way back around. Now, looking at the draft board right now, I think that there is a chance that that does happen, because if you look at the Houston Texans receivers, the team with Nico Collins is at pick 11. The team with Stephon Diggs is at pick 9. So with those two Texans receivers on that side of the board, I don't want to say it's a safe assumption, but there is a decent shot that we're able to get CJ Stroud at pick 78. So we'll see. We'll see. Okay. John says, how do you feel about your flock team draft team? So just to be very clear with everybody, even if I'm in a $500 buy-in on Underdog, the league that I care most about this year is the flock league, that redraft league where the vlog came out yesterday. I am really hoping that we can win that bad boy. I am almost praying to win it. We take Chase round 1, Nico round 2, Smith round 3, Laporta round 4, McLaurin round 6. I forgot who our round 5 pick was. Another receiver. We have at running back, James Conner, Trey Benson, DeAndre Swift, Austin Eckler, Tajay Spears. It's a league where we can start 4 wide receivers, and it's a full PPR format. Just like what we thought. I thought we were going to get CJ Stroud making it back to us at 78. That's exactly what happens, because where the Houston Texans wide receivers are on this board. So we'll go ahead and we'll take him here. But anyway, we'll take Stroud at 78. And I completely forgot what we were talking about. But I actually really like my team in the flock league. But I need to do, oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't done this yet. Let me link it with flockfantasy.com and see how it ranks the teams on that. Oh my gosh, I can't believe I haven't done this yet. I am praying that I'm near the top. Give me some value here. My teams. Michael says, I'm halfway through the vlog draft video, already pumped for your team. Thank you, my friend. I really like the team. I think it's a strong squad. Okay. The flock league. Let's pull this up. Thomas has the best team, according to the analyzer. Joe has the worst team. That checks out. Corey has the second worst team. That checks out. I have the third best team. Ooh, let me send this in that league chat. And if you're not in our Discord already, we actually have a league chat going there. I'm going to take DeAndre Swift. We need another running back. We only have Saquon Barkley. I think Swift's the easy pick. But yeah, our league chat's public in the Discord, which you can find a link in the description. So you can see all the messages and stuff here. Okay. Let's move this over. DeAndre Hopkins off 98. We took DeAndre Hopkins in the 8th round in that last draft, but that was where we are desperate for a wide receiver, right? Where we were having to go through and we were having to reach on one. Combat Central says Corey and Danny cooked everyone. I am looking at this league right now, and Corey did not cook anyone. Are you kidding me? Corey freaking took Garrett Wilson ahead of Justin Jefferson. My team easily clears Corey's. Easily. I will win that league. I will hit off a running back off the waiver wire. And I'm going to crush Chase Brown off pick 100. We don't have a tight end here yet. Dak Prescott not going to be in play for us. We are going to take whoever fell between Bowers and David Njoku. We'll go ahead and we'll take Brock Bowers as our tight end 1. You look at the preseason usage, was very encouraging, using him all over the football field, just trying to get him the ball in any way possible, which is exactly what you'd want to see, which obviously we're expecting him not to have a massive, massive role year 1 just because he is a rookie. Okay. Smooth this down. So wide receiver, we have Jefferson, DK Metcalf, Tank Dell, Christian Kirk, Chris Godwin. Running back, we have Barkley, DeAndre Swift. Quarterback, we have CJ Stroud stacked with Tank Dell. Tight end, we have Brock Bowers. Very well-balanced team. I really do like it. Brandon says, what website we're using to grade your team? Thanks in advance. Flockfantasy.com. No bias at all, but I'd highly recommend it. Yeah, no bias at all, but probably should check it out. Okay. Now, Caleb, Jared Goff, both off the board. Goff not necessarily in play for us. We didn't take St. Brown in this range, so perfectly fine seeing him go. Oh, I will have something that's interesting to point out, though. Let me make my pick first. And then I'll point it out now because I'm not interested in any of these quarterbacks, so it doesn't matter. But that team at 12 is Josh Allen, Caleb Williams, Jared Goff. So they may end up pushing some quarterbacks up the board very soon. Ryan says, just signing in. Team looking good. Thank you, my friend. Thank you. Jacoby Myers goes 112. Tua goes 113. I was going to take Singletary over Spears. Spears makes it to us just to confirm. Purdy, Lawrence. I mean, we could go Lawrence. We're going to go ahead. We'll take Trevor Lawrence as our QB2 here. Going back to what we were talking about previously, you are seeing quarterbacks get pushed up the board. Even Tua in this instance goes well ahead of ADP at pick 113. We have Christian Kirk to pair up with Trevor Lawrence, so I think we can do it. Chandler says, can you re-say your thoughts on Juju joining the Chiefs? I don't think Juju Smith-Schuster is worth a draft pick. I don't think Juju makes a difference if anybody is healthy with this team. But what I would say is it probably scares me a little bit from a Rashee Rice perspective, because it seems like Rashee Rice injury insurance. Okay. Jared Judy goes 119. I just love these drafts with the 20-second timers. The 20-second timers are so well paced. Christian says they had Juju on the team before he mostly sucked. Yeah, Juju wasn't viable on the team when he was there a couple years ago. He wasn't a decent fantasy option. So there's no reason to think that he would be now. Okay. So there should be a ton of running backs for us to choose on the way back around here, which is going back to what we were discussing previously, why we decided to go wide receiver a little heavy in this draft in particular. Gabe Davis off the board 122 has no impact for us. Gus Edwards goes 123. Ford 124. Ford rising with both the Chubb and the Deonta Foreman news. I didn't realize how much of a gap there was between Rico Dowdle and Ezekiel Elliott as of late. We'll take Dowdle and assume that the Dalvin Cook news is meaningless. I think Dalvin's washed. 2022 was his worst year of his career from an efficiency perspective. 2023, he did absolutely nothing. Going into 2024, I think it would be pretty surprising if he came out and had a strong showing. Now, of course, just because I think it'd be surprising doesn't mean it can't happen. Could for sure happen. Mike Williams off the board, 128. Just saw this. Marshawn Lloyd is expected to start the season on IR. Very interesting. That definitely bumps up A.J. Dillon. Very interesting. Voice of Insight says, going against thousands of people, what's the least amount you can put into best ball and have a realistic chance of winning? It definitely depends on the tournament selection that you're in, right? Because if you join, say, Best Ball Mania, that's going to be a tournament with a $15 million prize pool. There are hundreds of thousands of teams entering. If you just hop into the Flock League, there are a couple thousand teams in there. Now, of course, I do want to be very clear with everybody. If you join a tournament on Underdog, you can also just do regular, just 12-person drafts on Underdog where it's just you versus 11 other people. But specifically, if you join a tournament on Underdog Fantasy, the expectation is you lose money. And that's like the tournament of it. Like it's similar to like if you join a poker tournament. The most likely outcome is you lose money because the setup of it is a large percentage of the prize pool is going to go to a small percentage of the players. So for sure, only enter in what you think you can lose, which is why I tell you, if you're new to Underdog, please only do the $3, $5 drafts at first. Get your feet wet. See if it's fun to you. And definitely only play with what you can afford losing because the vast majority of people will most likely lose money. But the people who win money will win hundreds of thousands or millions depending on the tournament. But Waffle coming out with a donation. Thank you. But yeah, so I'd highly recommend only playing with what you can afford to lose. Just because if you think about the prize distribution of any tournament, where regardless of what it is, regardless of if it's a basketball draft, regardless of if it's a poker tournament, that's just the nature of a tournament. It's like same thing, college basketball tournament. March Madness, only one team's winning. Only 4 teams are making the Final Four. There's going to be a lot of losers and very few winners. But the winners are going to win a lot because it's a tournament. Okay, so let's move this over. So pick 150. I definitely think running backs in play in the last round. We took Darnell Mooney, just locking in a wide receiver that's going to have a role for us. I think that there's another receiver here that we could look to take as well. He is somebody that I cannot stop drafting at cost. Dotson goes. So actually, we're not going to go with the receiver. Instead, we will go with Chuba Hubbard as our 4th running back. I will let you know the receiver I was going to take. I was going to take Xavier Legette. I think it's safe to say that because I'd be very surprised if he does make it back to us. Okay. So let's move this down. And yes, if y'all want another draft, go down there, hit that like button. If we hit 900 likes on this stream, we'll get a 4th draft going tonight. The next draft would most likely be another $10 Flock Community League. And then after that, we would probably pivot over to a probably a $3 I think it's mini Schnauzer tournament on Underdog. So I think we're probably going to be sticking to a lot of these smaller buy-ins at the moment. I'll see if we can fill another $500 draft. I just don't have that much hope in us. Okay. Yeah, there are 10 spots in the $500 league if anybody wanted to get it going, but I'm assuming that's a no-go. Okay. Ray Davis, Khalil Herbert off the board back-to-back here. This is a portion of the draft where I think we are very flexible. I think we can almost do whatever we want here. Like quarterback, running back, wide receiver, tight end. I think it's all in play. We know we need another running back. We know we need another tight end. We know we need another wide receiver. But outside of those 3 things that we know, I don't know. We'll see. Okay. Knight says Warren was just named the starter for week 1. Is that true? I'll look into that 1 second. They're going to make me do it. We are going to take Sticky Ricky like wide receiver 71. Yes, neck and neck with Rashad Bateman. It's gross. I've been taking a lot of him in this range, but he is a round 1 NFL draft pick that is attached to what should be the best offense in the NFL. Fayouk signs. Yes, he is at best the 3rd wide receiver in this offense. Is that exciting? Not at all. But as a general rule, looking at the round 1 pick in the best offense in the NFL versus Rashad Bateman, I think we want to go ahead and take him. And no, you do not draft kickers or defenses on Underdog. No kickers or defenses. This is the first year that I've actually played with kickers and defenses in God knows how long. And I had to beg the people in the Flock League to let me put kickers and defenses in there. To just make it more like a regular fantasy football draft. Okay. Noah Fant goes 168. Let me see this video. Oh, no, what we were supposed to be looking up was the Jaylen Warren news. Let me see if we have this. I know Jaylen Warren's going to play week 1. I didn't see him expected to start. NFL Rumors tweeted it out. Yeah, I don't think it's anything official. Seems like Jaylen Warren's going to be okay. And he's going to play. I don't think he's starting. I think maybe NFL Rumors just worded it poorly for everybody. And I was reading about Jaylen Warren, so we accidentally just auto-picked Wan'Dale Robinson. RIP us. We have 3 rounds left. We for sure need to go with 1 running back, 1 tight ends. In that last pick, we can either go with the 3rd QB or a 3rd tight end. I don't know just yet. Okay. I don't know just yet. What was the other thing that I was looking up? But yeah, don't buy into the Jaylen unless I see a different report. If it's just literally the Twitter account NFL Rumors tweeting that, it possibly could have meant that Jaylen Warren's going to be good to go. And instead he worded it that Jaylen Warren's going to be starting because he wants to get traffic. You have no idea. Okay, what am I looking up here? Oh, I want to see that Dalvin Cook video. That's what I want to see. Let's see how jacked Dalvin Cook looks. Not that jacked. Kind of looks like an old man. I mean, if I saw him at the YMCA, I'd go, oh, yeah, that guy's jacked. But if I saw him on the football field, not really. How old is Dalvin? He's just turned 29. Same draft class as CMC, Alvin Kamara. Okay. Ryan asking if we're getting any PRs lately. I am barely holding on to strength. I've been doing 100 pull-ups today with 25 pounds hanging under me. But in terms of, we're going to go with Jordan Mason here. Like I said, I think with him officially being the guy behind CMC, he's a very appealing option at the very end of drafts. And what we're going to do is we're going to take 2 tight ends at the very end of this. Have we hit 900 likes? Okay, actually, we may not get another draft going. 37 more likes. If y'all want another draft, go down there, hit that like button. If we hit 900, we will get another one going. But yeah, other than the pull-ups, like my max bench, I probably have benched once over the past 2 years. Like I said, I've been doing the Ironman stuff. I've been running, I'm doing an ultra marathon. So all my strength, like my squat is probably literally half of what it used to be. My deadlift is probably half of what it used to be. Like if you got me with some free weights, I'm a weak little boy. I'll tell you that much. Okay. Now, Bryce Young off the board, 193. We are going to go tight end here. Ben Sinnott probably didn't make a ton of sense because we have Brock Bowers. I don't know, in a league where only the top scoring person out of 12 teams is going to advance, if we should be super excited to go through and go with 2 rookie tight ends. Okay. Juwan Johnson off the board, 196. So we are tight end. I think we can go ahead and we can take Jonnu Smith here. Good offense. The issue is it looks like he's not in a spot that he's going to have every single snap and run every single route at tight end, which is a little bit frustrating. Okay. Apparently we hit 900 likes in the stream. So we are going to go ahead. We're going to queue up some tight ends, and we're going to get in another draft after this. Queue up Dolchitz, Gesicki, Kraft, Ertz, Knox. But let's move this over. Next draft, I think we are going to get in another Flock community contest. This is a 3 max tournament, so you're only able to draft 3 teams at most in it. There are 9 spots open in this draft. Anybody wanted to get in? It is now filled. But yeah, this will be our last draft that we are able to do with this being a 3 max. And we just get another horrible pick here. Core longtime member says, what should be the strategy as the 10th pick in a 10-team 2-receiver single flex format? Always get 2 running backs, then go for a high-end quarterback, tight end, then slam receivers. That's 100% what I would do, my friend. Say if you don't like the running backs there, the 1-2 turn, and someone like A.J. Brown makes it to you, you could go running back A.J. Brown. Say if a great receiver makes it to you at the 3-4 turn, like Nico Collins, you can go with them there. But I think default plan is you probably go running back, elite tight end, elite quarterback, and then you're going to have unbelievable wide receiver values in a 10-team league where you're going to start 2 wide receivers and 1 flex. Okay. So we are back in this. CMC off the board at pick 1. I think in almost every draft we've seen CeeDee Lamb off at 2. At least tonight. Yeah, CeeDee Lamb goes at 2. Looks like this is probably going to be the most common start now. Yeah, and that's Brandon in here with us at pick 2. Waffle Taco always in these drafts with us. This one at pick 6. Nick in here ready to snipe us at 11. Hoovering Hans in here at pick 10. Bryce in this draft with us at 1. Jared in at 4. Thank you for all drafting with me. Okay. Cap says, Mason going back to the Flock League draft. How do you feel the draft picks went? I was not expecting that. My draft is Friday and we go running back heavy. I knew those guys were going to let us get running back values later on, and it's a league where you can start 4 wide receivers, and it's a full PPR format. So I was fine going wide receiver early. But I definitely think you want to adjust to your league mates in your league format. So let's see what this team does here. They go Puka Nacua. Sucks to be us. I think we go with a little bit of a unique start. You know what? Let's really mix it up here. Let's go Jahmyr Gibbs, Saquon Barkley. It's a $10 buy-in. Let's try something a little funny. Let's see if we're able to get wide receiver values later. We possibly can, and we'll figure it out. But yes, we cannot be giving away the picks with just everybody in this draft with us. Jack in this draft with us at 5. But, of course, real quick, if you want to get into the next draft with us, what we're probably going to be doing is a bunch of $3 drafts after this, probably over the next few days as well, which was what I would definitely recommend if you are new to Underdog Fantasy, is hopping in the $3 ones. But yeah, you can find that link in the description, comment section, live chat. If you use code FLOCK, you're going to get my 2024 rankings, draft guide, ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus code FLOCK will also get you hooked up with a Travis Kelce special pick'em. This is the new user offer that Underdog has for everybody. You get it with code FLOCK. But you also get an exclusive code FLOCK offer with Christian McCaffrey, more than less than half a total rushing yard for week 1 as well. Make sure you take advantage of that. You get that 50% deposit bonus. You just need to be in one of these states, though, which you can see the map there. Okay. I know both players have a week 5 bye. I do not care. If it was like the Eliminator, if it was a different tournament, then sure. But this is a tournament like your regular fantasy football league where we are trying to chase upside for weeks 15, 16, 17. So if we're trying to chase upside for the fantasy football playoffs, I think going with Gibbs, Barkley, a lot of upside, unique combo as well. Okay. Ayuk still going round 3. I figured Ayuk would have risen at this point if he is truly just going to be staying in San Fran. Is back before the trade stuff, Ayuk was going near like the beginning of the second. Okay, Henry goes 31. Great for us to see the running backs go, of course. I know we have people selecting in front of us, but it's probably not a big surprise to them. When we go running back out the gate, we're hoping to find some wide receivers here at the 3-4 turn. Captive says, how do I access the draft kit once I use code FLOCK? So if you use code FLOCK and you made a $10 deposit, then check your email address. You should immediately get an email from Underdog Fantasy. And then you should also every Sunday get an email from mason.at flockfantasy.com with the updates. So we are going to go wide receiver here. This is the position that we put ourselves in when we go with 2 running backs out the gate. We'll take Rice at 37. I think Rice is a better pick in the Flock tournament than he would be in Best Ball Mania, since the Flock tournament just dropped today. Whereas in Best Ball Mania, since it's been open all offseason, he was going in like round 7 before. So again, we'll take him. Yeah, Teresa, if anybody's spamming, it's hard for me to read that. So just hit put user in timeout, and they'll probably get the idea to not spam. If you don't mind, which I'd really appreciate. Okay. Now, after we take Rice, you have Allen, which, I mean, typically I would love to go with an elite quarterback here, such as Josh Allen, which is why typically I'm not going running back in these underdog drafts, but trying something a little new. Okay. Mahomes off 44. Zachary says, do you view Jalen Hurts as QB2 this season, or is there someone else other than Jalen you would take over him? No, I would view Jalen Hurts as QB2. If it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, then maybe you go ahead and you look at a different quarterback. A big thing that I think people don't think enough about is the adjustment from a 4-point passing touchdown league to a 6-point passing touchdown format. Where in a 4-point passing touchdown league, you are typically really wanting to see the quarterbacks with the elite rushing upside. Whereas in the leagues that instead it's a 6-point passing touchdown format, you're kind of fine going through and chasing the guys that are going to have a ton of passing volume. So, I mean, if you just think about the difference between the two, like Jalen Hurts getting 6 points per rushing touchdown, getting 1 point per 25 passing yards. 1 point per 10 rushing yards is going to be able to crush the quarterbacks that aren't going to run the ball. But all of a sudden, if you bump up the quarterbacks getting 6 points per passing touchdown, the QBs with a ton of passing yardage and passing touchdowns, they may actually be able to catch up to Jalen Hurts in that scoring format. So 4-point passing touchdown league, I love someone like Jalen Hurts who can have double-digit rushing touchdowns. Same thing with Josh Allen. Let's move this around to pick 60. When we go running back, we are probably looking to go with at least one receiver here, which I don't think is a big surprise to anybody, so I'm willing to say it out loud. Okay. Calvin Ridley goes. We'll take Christian Kirk as one of these receivers. Our next guy, I think we're going to go with. Do we go Godwin or do we go White? I think we go Chris Godwin. I'd way rather have Rachaad White over Chris Godwin in a vacuum. But the issue is looking at the wide receivers that are going to be available to us at picks 84 and 85. Those receivers will probably be pretty gross, whereas the running backs, they're going to be very exciting. So I'm okay with making the slightly worse pick here of Godwin, hoping that we can take advantage of some values later at RB. But we'll see. We'll see. Move this over. After we go with Godwin, you do have some running backs off. The interesting running back there to point out would be David Montgomery. That's kind of where I expected Montgomery to be going once you had the injury to Jahmyr Gibbs. But now that it looks like Jahmyr Gibbs is good to go, I don't know. I think it's very tough to take Montgomery at that price point. Maybe in a non-PPR format, you could. Okay, DeAndre Hopkins goes pick 74. Keon Coleman off the board at pick 75. I mean, back earlier in the offseason, we were able to get Keon Coleman in late round 7. And back then, I would have maybe been a little more willing to push the running backs such as Rachaad White in round 6. It's just so much harder to get Keon there at a value than it used to be. Especially now that you'd have to rely on him passing the Josh Allen team to make it to us, which I just think is very unlikely here. Let's move this over. CJ Stroud off 80. Jameson Williams goes 81. Yeah, Gibbs expected to play week 1, which is why I'm talking about Dave Montgomery being like a pick there that I probably don't agree with. But this is exactly why we had to go Chris Godwin in the last round, because you look at the wide receivers available to us here. It's Cortland Sutton versus the running backs that are available is Najee Harris, Aaron Jones, or Ramondre Stevenson. So I wanted to be in a position where we could go running back here with Aaron Jones and Ramondre. Now, what's tough is as we look at the potential quarterbacks that we have later on in this build, we could go Lawrence to pair with Kirk, but we're going to have to reach on him. We have Baker with Godwin, but that's not exciting. And everybody else is gone here. So running back, we have Gibbs, Barkley, Aaron Jones, Ramondre Stevenson. Wide receiver, we have Tank Dell, Rashee Rice, Christian Kirk, and Chris Godwin. So this is not the easiest spot to navigate. Not at all. Okay. So Jake Ferguson off the board here. I have noticed Ferguson slipping in these drafts. I have been buying the discount or buying the dip, whatever you want to call it. Like, I'm kind of okay with this price point now. As if you look at Ferguson, I just personally think that Brandon Cooks is straight up washed. With Brandon Cooks, he had a career low by a wide margin with 1.3 yards per route run this past season. Outside of that, I don't think that Jalen Tolbert is any good. So somebody has to get the ball here. Should be a pretty good offense. Obviously, Lamb's going to dominate targets, but I think Ferguson could be the second leading receiver here. And yeah, Tolbert is somebody that people really like. Tolbert doesn't go in round 18 anymore. Tolbert goes in round 16. And I wish I drafted more Jalen Tolbert when he was going in round 18, because now that he's locked and loaded to be the wide receiver 3 at the very minimum in this offense, it's probably a spot to be excited about. Just because, going back to what we were talking about previously, very good offense. I don't think Brandon Cooks is any good. So naturally that gives you, some upside with Tolbert. Okay. John says, I gained 30 pounds of my freshman year of college from Chick-fil-A swipes. Okay, let me tell you my Chick-fil-A story. Nobody get mad at me, okay? I'm a dumb college kid when I do this. But I went to college right around the time where Chick-fil-A was really pushing their app. And blah, 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 blah. And this was back when GroupMe was a big thing. And there was this GroupMe chat at UT that was called UT Buy Sell. And I was in there and somebody messaged like, hey, selling free Chick-fil-A sandwiches for $1. And of course, that piques my interest. I message him going, what the hell's going on here? Like, come on, fill me in. How do I get a Chick-fil-A sandwich for $1? And somehow this guy at UT had, I don't know how he did this. I don't know how. But he had essentially unlimited access to free Chick-fil-A sandwich coupons that I guess they would give if like they messed up your order or something like that. I guess he could generate them. I don't know how he got them. All right. He was the dealer. I don't know his supplier. And he sold me 100 Chick-fil-A sandwiches for $100. I Venmo'd him $100. I had 100 Chick-fil-A little free sandwich coupons on my phone. And your boy lived at Chick-fil-A for a very long time. But we're going to go ahead. We'll take Javonte Williams at pick 108. After that, we're going to go ahead and possibly take a quarterback here. I think our quarterback will be Lawrence to pair up with Christian Kirk. Just because looking at the quarterbacks later on, really nobody is an option. But what I would do, because obviously they were kind of on to me, I'd really only go to the same Chick-fil-A. And I'd do it very, very often. I had 100 coupons to spend. So I would go, I would buy a Chick-fil-A sandwich, and then I would also have a coupon as well. So I treated it more like a buy one, get one free. I was still giving them the $4 for the sandwich or whatever it was. But I was just getting 2 of them, which was really nice. But Young Krelo says, let's just go ahead and throw a Chick-fil-A sponsorship out the window. We're going to have to take down this live stream after this if y'all think that disqualifies me from a Chick-fil-A sandwich or a Chick-fil-A sponsorship. Because Chick-fil-A, I would love to be a spokesperson. I will say, and this is something that I don't know if it's been like, I'm just turning into a little bit more of a snob. Where I grew up, we didn't have any good food. I live in Austin now. There's a lot of good food. So when I grew up, if I got to go to Chick-fil-A, it was the best thing in the freaking world. Like, I was so excited. It was the best food that I'd ever had in my entire life. I've been to Chick-fil-A just a couple times over the past few years. typically we have better food options where I live now. And it seems like the patties are smaller. It seems like it's not as good as it used to be. I don't know if it's just me growing up and not really I don't know. Please let me know in the live chat. Has Chick-fil-A gotten worse over the past few years? Because back in the day, it was the best thing in the freaking world. Like if I had Chick-fil-A, my week was made. And now it is kind of what it is. Zabronsky says a lot of fast food places are like that now. I will say with Cane's. So I had Cane's like 3 years ago and they gave me this is like right when inflation started happening, or 2 years ago, whenever it was. And they gave me the tiniest little chicken strips. And I got so pissed. I was like, I spent $15 on this meal. I got chicken strips the size of chicken nuggets. They weren't even that good, and I didn't go to Cane's for years. I had Cane's last month, and oh my gosh, it was the best thing ever. It was so freaking good. It's extremely expensive for fast food. But I don't know if you've heard this. I won $150,000 on Underdog 2 years ago, so I can justify it. So if you let yourself just live a little, highly recommend. Highly recommend. I'd love to be a Cane's spokesperson as well. A little more expensive than regular fast food, but last time I had it was great. Let's see. Dallas Goedert goes 180. Looking at Tua, we don't have a potential Tua stack. I definitely think at the very minimum, we need to go one wide receiver here. I was really hoping that Gabe Davis was going to make it to us to double stack with Lawrence. I think Mike Williams is a pick that we have to make here at 132. After the Mike Williams selection, we could go with an unstacked Tua if you were just looking at the range of outcomes on how we could get there with this team later in the year. But instead, I think we're probably going to go ahead. We're just going to make the boring pick of Pat Freiermuth. I do think the Flock tournament, though, is a league because in weeks 15, 16, it's only one-on-one matchups. I don't think you need to stack every one of your quarterbacks. If you wanted to go ahead and you think Tua is just going to score a lot of points here in round 12, I think you could take him. Okay. Now, the other thing we got to talk about, Pure Flight says Chick-fil-A is still thriving in Dallas. So the only time I've really had Chick-fil-A over the past few years is a girlfriend's grandpa got sick, had to go to a small town in Texas near Dallas for a decent amount of time. And for breakfast every day that I was there, this is like a month ago. This is when I said I had to go to the funeral a while ago. I got the Chick-fil-A egg whites sandwich, throw some Chick-fil-A sauce on it. It was immaculate. It was like an English muffin, egg white, chicken patty, a slice of American cheese. It doesn't get better. And I'll say this as well. This is maybe a little bit of a controversial take. We're obviously off the rails here, but last night y'all had a dream stream for me. It doesn't get better than the stream we had last night. American cheese cannot be beaten. I understand American cheese is just chemicals. I get it. It's rubber. It's probably the same thing that they make tires out of. The consistency is so weird. It doesn't. But you throw a slice of American cheese in any sandwich and it gets melty. There's nothing that is better than freaking. Yeah, John says he loves chemicals. There's nothing better than the chemicals that they put in American cheese. I know people try to get fancy with it. I know people go, I'm a pepper jack guy. I'm a Gouda guy. I'm a sharp cheddar kind of guy. If you order a burger with anything but American cheese, you're lying to yourself. You're trying to be fancy. If you got that same thing with American cheese, you would like it so much more. Just let yourself live a little. Get the American cheese with it. Enjoy the chemicals. They'll make you live longer. Okay. Now, what was my other food take that we had? I saw somebody ask us the dreaded question in the chat. Mason, In-N-Out, or Whataburger? So here's my experience. I grew up in Texas. After every football game, everybody goes to In-N-Out. In-N-Out is the cool thing. Phenomenal branding. They've convinced everybody in Texas that they are phenomenal. Their honey barbecue chicken strip sandwich, very, very good. But over the past decade, Whataburger has become trash and is living off of great branding and marketing. My buddies in college loved Whataburger. I would have to go with them to the Whataburger drive-thru very often. It would always take 30 minutes to get mediocre food. While at the same time, In-N-Out is beautiful. In-N-Out, you go, get 2 double-doubles. It's cheap. It's phenomenal. A ton of that good American cheese on it. Give me my chemicals. We're going to go with Rodgers to pair up with Mike Williams, and then we're going to take Adam Thielen here to just get another wide receiver. And I didn't get introduced into In-N-Out until I was maybe in high school. Or the first time I ever had it, I went to Vegas on a trip like in 8th grade with my aunt. And we got In-N-Out there, and it was so good that I had eaten a double-double and fries, and then before we left, I went back inside to order another double-double to go because it was probably the best burger I've ever had. And In-N-Out has not gone downhill at all. Every time I get In-N-Out, it is phenomenal. Now, I hear the argument, oh, the fries are garbage. The fries are bad. Yeah, the fries are probably pretty bad. But for me personally, whenever I go to a fast food place, when I go anywhere, I'm never getting fries. I'm balling, all right? Instead of getting a burger and fries, I'm getting 2 burgers. So for me, In-N-Out, top tier. I don't want to hear about their fries sucking. Don't get the fries. Get 2 double cheeseburgers. Be a man. And I think that's all we have for fast food takes at the moment. But after we take Adam Thielen, you continue to have a ton of running backs off the board. You see over the past 3 rounds in this draft, there have been a total of 8 wide receivers in 3 rounds. This is the range where wide receiver is absolutely gross. If you find yourself in this range, the guy I probably want to be taking is Xavier Legette. He doesn't make it to us, so we have to take Adam Thielen instead. We'll take him. And yes, real quick, if y'all want another draft or if you want some more fast food takes, if we hit 1,200 likes, I'll fire up another draft. 1,200 likes, we get another draft going here. Okay. Now, Isaiah likely goes 173. We're definitely going to take 3 tight ends with this team. We're done taking running back, of course. We are still quarterback, wide receiver, tight ends. I think we take 3 quarterbacks. I think we take 3 tight ends. I think we take another receiver. I actually like this team. For us trying to get a little bit weird and going running back out the gate, we're in a good spot. Yes, and if anybody's watching this and you work for American Cheese, I would love for you to sponsor the channel. I remember I used to just be all into, like, when I was on the powerlifting team at UT, I was just YouTube fitness. And there was this power lifter that I would watch that just like lifted in his garage, and it was just like a lifting diary or whatever it was. But I distinctly remember he got a sponsorship in a video. We're going to go with Wan'Dale Robinson and Kate Otten. I would have loved to get Baker to make it to us, and we could have gotten Kate Otten and Baker Mayfield and pair him up with Godwin as well, but it is what it is. But he got a sponsorship literally from like American Pork. It was some like pork company. In his video, it wasn't like, oh, this brand of pork. It's not like, oh, buy Boar's Head pork. No, it was him doing an advertisement for like the pork industry. It was the craziest thing I'd ever seen. This is a guy that maybe got like, he wasn't super small, but he got fewer views than I do on YouTube, which obviously I'm not big. Like, I'm not big enough to get like a freaking sponsorship from an entire industry. So I was like, Ryan says like avocados from Mexico. That's exactly what it was like. I was just like watching YouTube going, what the hell is going on here? Okay. Now let's move this over. Let me pull up. So yeah, the American cheese industry wants to hook me up with a sponsorship. I'm down. Okay. Pulled up the stream to see how many likes we were at, to see if we were going to get another draft going. looks like people are tired about the cheese talk because people have bailed. Ooh. Okay, so let's move this down. Luke McCaffrey off 192. I think we're going to go with one more quarterback and one more tight end. So if we're looking at the quarterbacks that potentially make sense for us here in the last round, I've been taking a lot of Daniel Jones because he has rushing upside, and we also have Wan'Dale Robinson here. Outside of that, we don't really have any potential quarterback stacks, so we'd probably just want to make sure we're taking someone like with rushing upside. I was going to say like Fields, but Fields just got drafted. So the quarterback pick doesn't really matter too much. We just take our favorite guy. And then in terms of tight ends, same thing. Doesn't matter too much. We just take our favorite guy. Okay. Let's move this over. Hoovering Hans is sponsored by Velveeta. So keep in mind, I'm a kid from the suburbs. Probably had the same experience that a lot of people here had. So I grew up freaking loving Velveeta. Like going, parents making food, throwing a little block of Velveeta in a crock pot and then a can of Rotel in it, and me thinking that we were eating fine dining that night. That was my life. And a lot of that food growing up, I still really like. Velveeta is not one of those things. Velveeta is like too weird in my mind. And we'll take Jonnu Smith as our third tight end here to pair up with Freiermuth and Kate Otten. Like Velveeta, it's not like they don't even have like the chemicals like American cheese. American cheese is like very flavorful. I don't even know how to describe Velveeta. I don't even know what it is. But yeah, Benny says, same bro, used to love it. Now I hate it. Yeah, I'm still all in American cheese. Give me those cheese chemicals. But Velveeta, it's not even like whatever chemicals they put in to make it that consistency, they don't have any, it doesn't have flavor. And that's the issue with that. Yeah, not enough chemicals. Throw some more chemicals in Velveeta, and I'll be back on the Velveeta train. But John says, Velveeta in a crock pot with burger meat and Rotel. I grew up on that. Yes, sir. I don't know if it's a Texas thing, but that's what I'm saying. I figured I grew up on that too. Like that was our taco night, was ground beef, a taco packet seasoning, and a Velveeta and Rotel. Which I'm sure a lot of people here had that as well. But it looks like we're probably not going to hit 1,200 likes on this live stream. So we are probably going to call it here for tonight. It was a quick little 2-hour draft stream. So hopefully I'm not too tired and we're good to go tomorrow. But much love. Thank you for hanging out with me. Of course, I'll be drafting tomorrow, the next day, the next day, the next day, the next day. I'm drafting every single day until the season starts. So if you want to get in a draft with us, you can find that link in the description, in the comment section, in the live chat. Code FLOCK will get you hooked up with my 2024 rankings, draft guide, and ADP consensus cheat sheet. Plus, you will also be getting set up with a special Christian McCaffrey pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1, and a Travis Kelce special pick'em, more than less than half a total yard for week 1. A 50% deposit bonus up to $1,000. You just need to make sure you are in one of these states if you are wanting that. But I think that's all I have for you. Much love, ladies and gentlemen, and really hope I get a draft against you tomorrow night.